Morning students, welcome to your IT class. So today we are going to do our web application and security, that is from unit 4. From there we are going to do our session 7, that is workplace safety. So in this session, from the name itself you can come to know that in this session we are going to cover the different safety measures which we should ensure in our workplaces. All right, and the safety measures, okay, it is not only rests on the employees alone, but it rests on the employers and as well as the different people who work under the particular organization. All right, so let's start our class for today. Starting our today's class, let us do a small recap from the previous session, that is the session 3 from electronic spreadsheet, and there we had done in session 3 as share and review of worksheet. So for the first topic which we had gathered knowledge was about sharing a document. Now what is sharing a document? That means when you are working in a network and when you have to share a document or a spreadsheet, you can say, and there what happens, multiple users, not only one user, when you are network, multiple users, many users can at the same time can view your document, can edit it and review the changes, okay, made in a document. Then in order to share a document, if you want to switch between a shared document and a unshared document, we have to click on the tools tab, and from there we have to click on the share document option, which can be used in order to switch the mode from a document from shared to unshared. And as you share a document, when you save the shared document, you will find the word shared will appear in the title bar just near the file name. Okay, then whenever we share a document, what will happen, certain features or commands in calc becomes disabled. Okay, they are unavailable and you will not able to do it. There are, like, you cannot edit the changes, you cannot insert a new sheet, so there are certain features which will be disabled. Then the next topic which we had gathered knowledge, that the recording of changes, okay, in a specific editing mode, okay, that is the record change, and where in this mode it is possible to make certain temporary changes in your document, okay, and which can later be made permanent by either accepting them or undone by rejecting them. So say for example you want to view or you want to edit any document of a previous year, so what you will do, you will just open up that previous year document, the file which is already saved in your computer. You are going to open that particular file, that saved document, and you can edit the changes. So as you edit the changes, the changes will be recorded, okay, and a particular comment will appear in the each edited cell. Okay, so as you click on the dark color, the small button over there which you find just in here the edited cells, if you click on it or if you point your mouse over there, you can see the comments. Okay, the comments are the description about the changes which you made in the cell during the record change mode. The record change mode is also started, that means you can start it, or you can how you can edit the document. First you have to go to the edit command, okay, and from there you have to choose the change option, and from there you have to click on record. Then changes can be either accepted or rejected by using the edit command, and you have to go to the changes and you have to click on accept or reject. That means the changes which you want to keep, you can accept it, and if you don't want to keep, you can undo it by rejecting them. Then two documents can be compared, okay, so you can compare with the original document and the edited document, okay, by going to the again edit command, and from there changes, and then you can compare the document. Then same way two documents also can be merged, that is the original one and the edited one. Same way you have to go to edit, change, and then from there you have to click on the merge command. So these are the different topics which we had gathered knowledge, okay, in the last class. Now let us come to the learning objective of today's class. So in today's class, the learning objective is that you will have knowledge after this session about the general office safety, okay. So what are the general rules or guidelines which you should follow in a office, okay, for our safety, and the use of first aid, okay, so why we use a first aid, and a case study of a hazardous incident, okay, like we have here, that is about the the Bhopal gas tragedy, okay. So here we have first the introduction. Now let us know what is workplace safety. Now workplace safety is the right of the employees and the workers, okay. So the ensure safety in a workplace, it is the right of the employees and the workers, and it is very much essential in order to provide a safe environment, okay, in which the employees can work with a minimal risks to their health. And preventing these accidents requires the effort of all the employees in the organization, and along with the safety measures and the actions which has to be taken up by the organization. Now, if the employers or the employees or the workers follow certain safety rules, the risks can be minimized and can be prevented. So in this session, we shall talk about the various safety rules we should follow at a workplace. The first one we have is a general office safety. So what it is, that in order to maintain safety in our offices, so or at the workplace, firstly the causes behind these accidents and the injuries should be known. So what are they? The most common causes of office accidents includes slipping, tripping or falling hazards, then burning, or other fire hazards can be there, then dangers of electrical wiring, all right, then exposures to certain toxic substances which are kept for in a go down, or you can say in the storehouse. Then we have improper lifting and the handling techniques, different techniques may be there, improper handling of the techniques, then unobservant and inattentive employees. So while above given, the last two hazards can be taken care with proper training and awareness programs for the employees and the workers. So the last two, that is the improper lifting and the handling of the techniques, how it should be properly handled or how it should be lift, or any unobservant and inattentive employees there, so they has to be given certain training and awareness program should be there for them in order to make aware of the different accidents which can happen in their place, in their workplace. So for the rest of the hazards, certain safety rules should be followed, and which we are going to talk about in the coming lines. All right, so let's go to the next topic, that is fall and slip. The first one, the preventions which we can take up in order to prevent her falling or slipping down on the floor. The main causes of slips or trips and falls in the workplace is an uneven floor surface. One is there, then unsuitable floor coverings, there may be wet floors or change in levels, trailing cables, there may be poor lighting where people cannot see properly, or poor housekeeping. The easiest way now in order to avoid these slips, the preventive measures, so what are they? We should be is to pay attention to your surrounding. You should be not inattentive, you should be always stay alert, and in order to avoid running or rushing, so you should not keep on rushing and running around. So same way as we have in our schools also, there's the students keep on running, rushing. Yes, you some of the students may fall, may get hurt. So same way, in order to ensure safety for others in the office, however, the following general guidelines are suggested. That means we should arrange the office furnishings, the furnitures, in a manner that it provides unobstructed area for movement. So there is enough space for movement in the office. Then we should keep the chairs, steps, flooring and carpeting well maintained. Then we should ensure that the glass doors have some type of marking to keep the people from walking through them. Then we should clearly mark any difference in the floor level, that could again cause an accident. Then we should secure the throw rugs and the mats in order to prevent slipping hazards. Then we should immediately clean up the fluid spills. So if there is any spills on the ground, then we should not place our waste baskets, or you can say dustbins, or any other objects in our walkway, so that we don't stamp around and fall down. So we should be aware of added risking of falling when entering a building, and if outside the weather is rainy or snowy, then regardless of the intensity of injury, it is also important that the incident should be reported to the supervisor immediately. And we should place office safety specific tips in the office at prominent places, so that everyone knows what is going around, or if there is any reconstruction or anything is going around, so that we can prevent ourselves from falling or slipping. Then the next topic is the basic rules for fire safety. So our next topic is about how to prevent fire safety in a workplace. So the greatest protection against the property loss and injuries, we know that from fire is prevention. So what we can do is the only way is we can prevent it, because we don't know when we are going to catch fire, or whenever what you can say the furnitures or anything else catch fire. So what is there? We have to just prevent it. So what we can do is we should always put the phone numbers of the fire department just near our phone, handy, wherever we can get it immediately. Then we should eliminate fire hazards through good housekeeping, then disposing of the waste paper, the rubbish, okay, then other flammable materials regularly. Then we should keep the flammable materials inside proper containers and store them properly. Then regularly we should check our electrical installations, and have all freight wirings, okay, and then all the electrical fixtures also should be changed and repaired by an electrician. Then we should not overload our electrical circuits, all right, by pulling additional lights and appliances. Then we should always unplug all the electrical appliances after every use. Then we should never leave a lighted candle unattended. That means we should turn it off, and then we should move away from that. We should never keep it unattended. Then strictly we should obey the no smoking signs wherever it is given properly as no smoking. Then we should ensure that we have a pre-fire plan at our office. Then we should check the protection gadgets or the devices of appliances equipment regularly. And we should be lastly be fire safety conscious, okay. And at the same time the employees also should be trained, okay, at least how to handle and work for fire extinguisher. So in the next topic we have the how we can handle a fire extinguisher. So as we can see, these are different types of fire extinguishers which are shown, and the employee should be well trained in order to use this. So here we have the certain fire response guidelines over here. As you can see that if there is a fire, we should leave immediately, okay, whatever we are doing, and we should vacate the room, okay, through the doorbell. Then we should choose, okay, the above the behind what we have, okay, and we should not be keep on busy there, and we should leave away, and we should activate the alarm, okay, and begin to evacuate the building. Then if we are not in an immediate change, okay, or in danger, then we should call the fire extinguisher department, okay. So these are certain guidelines. Then how to use a fire extinguisher. So here we have a past phrase here about how to use a fire extinguisher. Please underline the basic steps for operating a typical fire extinguisher can be remembered by the past phrase here. So where it past, the full form of past is P stands for pull, that is pull out the safety pin of the fire extinguisher. Then A stands for aim and arm the actuate, that means we should aim where the fire is. Then S stands for squeeze, we should squeeze the operating levers. And the last S stands for spray at the bottom of the fire where it is actually starting. Okay, so this is the full form of the past phrase, okay, of fire extinguisher, how we can operate a typical fire extinguisher. Then in general there are three methods of extinguishing the fire, and they are, first one is the cooling, then the second one is smothering, and the last one is starvation, okay. So these are the three different top what you can say the general method of extinguishing a fire. All right, please go through these three also, okay. Then now next is the electrical safety rules. So what are the electrical safety rules? So we should be familiar with the electrical hazards, okay, which is associated with our workplace. Then we should always unplug the electrical equipment before repairing and servicing it. Then we should ensure the outlets are firmly mounted, okay, and we should report loose outlets to the authorized person. Then we should not use an appliance that sparks and smokes, okay, and become excessively hot, okay, until an appliance is specifically designed to exhibit these characters. Then we should not use the electric items, okay, with wet hands or with near water. When our hands are watery, okay, we have just washed our hands without wiping our hands, we should not touch them. Then we should use GCFL whenever possible. Again, a GCFL full form is ground fault circuit interrupter, which detects grounding problems and shuts the electricity off in order to prevent a possible accident, okay. Then you should plug in the high watt, okay, you should not plug in the high watt appliance only after considering the load, okay. So these are the basic safety rules which the guidelines which we should follow at our workplace in order to prevent us from electrical hazards. So here we have certain do's and don'ts. So there should be also a mock fire, mock drill should be there in order to ensure us from the electric safety drills, okay, which can be carried out from time to time in the offices, so that the employees also get what you can say, they are aware of how to safeguard themselves when there is a fire or there is an electric, okay, short circuits, that sort of. Then what are the do's here? So we should seal the unused electrical outlets, okay. Then we should discard or repair electrical items that have damage caused, Okay, and then before repairing any electrical appliances, we should remember to unplug in. Okay, then we should only plug in only to high watt appliance, okay, at a time, in order to overload it. So then we don't have, what we should avoid is that we should not pull a plug, okay, out with its cord, then okay, and then tough electrical appliances, okay, touch electrical appliances with wet hands. Then we should not put fingers or metallic object in an electrical outlet, okay, and we should not use any kind of electrical appliances which is close to the water, which can become dangerous. Okay, so these are the basic safety rules which we should follow in order to prevent us from electrical hazards, okay, at our workplace. Then our next topic is use of first aid. So what is first aid? Please underline. Here we have the definition of first aid. The term first aid means refers to the first response to an illness, or it can be an injury before the actual medical aid arrives or is provided. Now first aid can be for the emergency situations or for a non-emergency situation as well. So emergency first aid is the first response to a life-threatening or a limb-threatening or medical emergency, either an illness or it can be an injury, and it is often called as the first responder. All right. Then non-emergency first aid is what? Is the treatment which we initiate ourselves for minor medical needs, and we may or may not seek more advanced medical care for the initial response, and this includes taking over the counter medications for minor pain or allergies, cleaning, bandaging cuts, okay, abrasions, or we can say minor bleeding control. And in an office also, we should keep the first aid kit handy, and which can be always available for emergency purposes. And here in the note you can see the first aid kit, okay, what are the things which should be included the first aid kit at our home. So your first aid kit at home should include hydrogen peroxide, calamine, then calamine lotion, then aspirin, then using of the hydrogen peroxide to clean wounds, then calamine lotion to relieve or itching from insects, bites or any poison ivy, and the aspirin in case of any heart attack symptoms, okay, while waiting for your emergency medical personnel. All right, so these are the different things which should include in our first aid kit at home. All right, so this is all about your first aid. Then here we said have some common first aid procedures, okay, which has been listed in the following graphics. As you can see, first one is bleeding we have, then next one is choking, so what we can do when we are choking. Then we have for burns, all right, then for we have for fractures, okay, as you can see, sprains, eye injuries, shock, all right, then CPR. So here we have certain first aid procedures which you should go through the different procedures here. So what we should do. Then the next one is the Bhopal gas tragedy. Okay, that is the case study of a hazardous incident which was happened, and we all know about Bhopal gas tragedy. So what happened? So India has witnessed many hazardous incidents like the Surat fire in 2019, Kolkata fire in 2013, Upar Cinema fire 1997, then Bhopal gas leak in the year 1984, and many more. And in this section, we are discussing the case study of chemical hazardous incident in the Bhopal gas tragedy. Okay, so as in Assam also, we had the Baghjan gas, okay, I mean the fire, okay, which is still burning. So these are certain hazardous incidents. Now what is Bhopal? What happened in Bhopal gas tragedy? So in the year 1970, the American enterprise, which is known as Union Carbide Corporation, so that is UCC, established a pesticide plant, okay, in the densely populated region in Bhopal, and due to its central location and transportation network. So what happened? The plant kept up production, okay, but due to low profits, and safety standards were the lowest priority, okay, so they didn't give any priority to the safety standards. And at 1 p.m. on the 3rd December, okay, 1984, a massive amount of methyl isocyanide started leaking from the plant, and quickly it engulfed the entire city, and within a few hours a large number of humans as well as animals died due to inhaling the poisonous gas. Now according to an estimate, around 3,787 people died immediately, okay. Now in the first few days the death count was reached around 10,000, followed by 15,000 to 20,000 premature deaths in the subsequent decade. And the ICMR estimated that approximately 62.58% of the population of Bhopal suffered from inhalational toxicity, okay. So they have inhaled the toxic substances, and as a result you can see that there are more deaths. Okay, and there was the what you can say, the people suffered a lot. So there was no safety majority in the gas plant. Then what happened aftermath after the incident? What happened? So in response to the disaster, the government brought forth various legislation. That is, the first one was the Environment Protection Act, which was enacted in the year 1986. Then the Factories Act, sorry, which was again amended to include the list of hazardous industries and the provisions to locate an industry. Then the Public Liability Insurance Act 1991 is another act, okay, with an aim to provide immediate relief to the victims affected by accidents while handling hazardous substances. Then the government also implemented the National Green Tribunal Act 2010 in order to deal with the cases which arise out of environmental issues. Then hazardous waste management, handling and transboundary movement, okay, rule in the year 2008, and chemical accidents emergency planning, preparedness and response rules in the year 1996 were also enacted. Okay, so aftermath of the tragedy, so these are the different the government has brought forward the legislation, and these acts were enacted. Okay, so please go through the different acts, and at the same time the years when these acts came into existence. Okay, so when these acts were followed, please go through the dates. Then these are the different topics which you had gathered knowledge today in our class. Now let us go through the summary. Okay, so in today's class, what we had gathered knowledge about the workplace safety. Okay, so it is the right of every employee and a worker in any organization, and in order to ensure and implement workplace safety measures, it is the responsibility lies with the employer as well as with the employees of the organization. And regardless of the intensity of the injury, it is important that the incident is reported to the supervisor immediately, no matter what is the intensity of the injury. Then we should place office safety specific tips in the office and at prominent places so that everyone notice it. Then there should be mock fire safety drills, okay, and electric safety drills, and it should be carried out from time to time, and the employees should be given proper awareness programs for it. Then we had also gathered knowledge about the first aid, the term which means that first response to any illness, or you can say an injury, before the actual medical aid arrives in the or is provided. Then lastly, we had gathered knowledge that in an office, the first aid kit should always be available for emergency purposes. Not only in office, at home also we should keep our first aid kit handy. Okay, so these are the different topics which we have covered today. So after this video, I'll be giving you a home assignment in Google Classroom. Please check. Alright, and then I'll be giving you the exit card link which you are going to click and submit. And at the same time, please keep learning. Thank you. Have a nice day.